You're standing in the shower right now, at least in your head. The water isn't real. Neither is the person you're arguing with, but somehow your jaw's tight, your chest is tense, and you're already 3 sentences deep into a fight that has never happened and probably never will. If that sounds familiar, you already know the strange part. It's not that the scene is fake, it's that your body doesn't seem to know that. Your heart rate climbs, your face gets hot, you feel the exact same rush of anger or relief or pride, as if it were actually happening. And then you catch yourself and think, why do I do this? Why does my mind keep writing scripts for conversations that will never be performed? In this video, we're going to look at why this happens, what it's actually doing for you underneath the surface, and the exact moment it stops helping you and starts quietly costing you something. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to look at your own daydreams completely differently. I want to be honest with you about something. For a long time, I thought this made me strange. I would be folding laundry, or driving, or lying awake at 2 in the morning, and I'd be somewhere else entirely, explaining myself to someone who hurt me years ago, delivering the perfect comeback to a comment that stung, imagining the exact moment I'd finally prove something to someone who doubted me. None of it was happening. All of it felt real. There was a period where I did this so often that I started to worry about myself. I'd catch an hour gone by and realize I hadn't been present for any of it. I was there, physically, going through the motions of my day, but mentally, I was somewhere else, rehearsing a life I wasn't living. And the part that scared me most wasn't the habit itself. It was how good it felt. In my head, I always said the right thing. People always understood me eventually. The story always resolved the way I needed it to. Reality never once offered that kind of certainty. So let's slow down for a second. Think about the last time your mind did this to you. Not a memory, not something that actually happened. A scene your brain built entirely on its own. Who were you talking to? What were you trying to prove? Sit with that for a moment, because the answer tells you more about yourself than you might expect. Psychologists have a name for what your brain is doing here. It's called mental simulation, and it's not a flaw in your thinking. It's actually one of the reasons human beings are able to plan at all. Before you do almost anything in real life, your brain quietly runs a version of it first. Athletes visualize the exact movement of a race before they run it. Public speakers rehearse their opening line in their head before they ever say it out loud. Your brain is built to test the future before you live it, because a mind that can rehearse is a mind that can prepare. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most people miss the deeper reason this happens to some of us far more than others. If mental simulation was only about practical planning, it would show up when you actually needed to prepare for something. A job interview, a hard conversation, a big decision. But for a lot of people, it doesn't stop there. It runs constantly, in the background, even when there's nothing left to plan for. An argument that already ended weeks ago replays with a better ending. A future that hasn't started yet gets rehearsed 100 different ways. The simulation system stays switched on long after its job should be finished. And that's usually not random. In most cases, when someone's mind keeps returning to imagined scenarios, it's not entertainment. It's the brain trying to resolve something it hasn't finished processing. An unfinished conversation, an unspoken feeling, a version of yourself you wish other people had seen. Underneath almost every one of these imagined scenes is a quiet, specific need. To be understood, to be right, to be safe from something that might go wrong. To feel, even for a few invented minutes, like you have some control over how people see you. If you look closely, you'll usually notice your own imagined scenarios fall into one of 3 patterns. The first is the argument you never got to finish. You're explaining yourself, defending your choices, finally saying the thing you didn't say in the moment. The second is the future you're aching for. Recognition, success, someone finally admitting they were wrong about you. It feels motivating in small doses, but it can quietly turn into a hiding place instead of a launching pad. And the third is the disaster that hasn't happened yet. What if they misread what I meant? What if this goes wrong? What if I fail in front of everyone? Your mind starts building defenses for a war that may never actually arrive. Here's the pattern most people never connect. People who do this often share one specific trait. They spend an enormous amount of mental energy thinking about how others perceive them, not out of vanity, but because their mind is constantly scanning for social danger, constantly trying to get ahead of misunderstanding, rejection, or embarrassment before it happens. So the brain does what it knows how to do. It rehearses, over and over, in private, where nothing can go wrong, because you're the one writing every line. And that's exactly why these imagined scenes can start to feel better than real life. In your head, you control the outcome. People respond exactly the way you need them to. The conversation lands exactly where you want it to land. Real interactions are messier, slower, and far less predictable. So without ever deciding to, some people quietly start preferring the version they can control over the version that's actually happening in front of them. I want you to pause again for a second, because this next part matters. Ask yourself honestly, is there a real conversation you've been avoiding? One you keep rehearsing in your head instead of actually having? Not to judge yourself for it, just to notice it, because noticing is where anything changes. Here's the part that took me the longest to understand about myself. Imagination was never the enemy. It's one of the most powerful tools your brain has. It's the same mechanism that lets you plan, create, solve problems you haven't faced yet, and prepare for hard conversations before you walk into them. The issue was never that I imagined things. The issue was when imagining quietly replaced doing, when the rehearsal became the whole performance and the actual stage sat empty, because growth doesn't happen in the version of the conversation you perfected in the shower. It happens in the real one, the clumsy one, the one where you might not say it exactly right, but you say it anyway. The relationships that matter get built in real rooms, not imagined ones. The confidence you're rehearsing for only becomes real once you've actually stood in front of the moment you were preparing for. So if you recognize yourself in any of this, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It usually means the opposite. It means your mind is active, alert, constantly trying to understand people and prepare for what's ahead. That's not a weakness. That's a mind that cares deeply about getting things right. The only shift worth making is learning to notice when imagination is preparing you for something real, and when it's quietly become a place to hide from it. Because your mind will always be brilliant at building these scenes. But the moments that actually shape your life, the ones that change how you see yourself, will never happen inside your head. They're waiting in the real conversation you keep rehearsing instead of having.
Like to learn more about human psychology? Like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe my channel now. Thank you for watching.